evening, everybody. Jason Meyer here with Masterworks. And tonight we're going to continue to look at value patterns and value shapes. We're going to start by just looking at a couple slightly more academic drawings. And then we're going to jump over to the Procreate and really investigate some more finished, what we might call artistic, and see what the difference is. So good evening, Shakti. Good to see you. Slowly but surely we're getting the desk set up here so I can do what I need to do without hurting myself. And we got some new equipment today and I think it's working, but this is the first time using it. So if there's a slip or something, just give me a minute. We're figuring out our new layout here. Alright, well, why don't we get to it? So tonight we're going to focus on patterns, dark, light, dark, and shapes. And we might even talk a little bit about different textures and how some of the artists portray texture. And we'll just see what all we get into. Hey, Katie. Nice to meet you. Nice for you to be here. Let's see. I think it's the middle of the afternoon where you are. Mr. Tom made it. Hello, Tom. Hello. All right, guys. Well, let's share a screen and see what we have here. So some of you may have seen this before, but let's take a little deeper look at it. Why does this feel so real? Right? There's no eyes in there at all, but why does it still feel very real? Well, because the big structures are there. But before we get too far into that, there we go. Before we get too far into that, we've got light, and then we come into gray. Notice this edge is relatively soft. And then we come into like shadow or our dark. Look carefully at these edges. Look carefully at the inside of this shape. So without a doubt, it goes lighter, darker, lighter. But do you see how this shape is accurate and loose at the same time? Compare it to this shape, at least this side of the shape. Is there any edge anywhere like that up here at all? No, the only thing close to it is that form ending. Right? In this case, the light's coming in from this side, hitting the form, which begins a new form, also ends these forms over here. We're going to go over to shadow. And then, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to end here? Well, yeah, and the question is, how much end do you need? There's his hard edge to end the form. Okay, so let's keep going. Got a lot to get into tonight. Oops. Wait a minute, we're missing something. There it is. All right. So again here, overall, let's just look. And what's the big pattern? If we just look at the body, do you see how the forward arm's darker, richer? And then we pick up some light. And then it grays off. Is this forward leg darker, richer? And that sets up that light on the leg behind. What about vagueness versus detail? And while we're talking, while we're talking, look at the nature of this shape. Do you see how this single shape is going through all kinds of objects and representing all kinds of things? But it is interesting unto itself. Is there kind of a pretty simple side? Simple side, simple side, simple, complex. So there's complexity versus simplicity. And look where the light marks are. Do you see an overall pattern here? Yeah, there's a little bit up here, but look, we're here, then we're going down here, and then the shape is different. Okay, so we're talking again about these abstract movements, what's specific and what's vague. Okay, so now that we warmed up a little bit, hey, Wendy made it. Wendy made it. Miss Cindy's here too. Hello, everybody. So we are going to jump over to our Procreate and do a deep dive on some dark shapes and natures of the dark shapes. Do you guys see the nature of this? Miss Susan, hello, hello, hello. Now again, this, you may see a portrait of a woman first off, but that's not what's important here. That's not what's not for our conversation tonight. Right? I'm just interested in shapes. And when this gets so small as a postage stamp, what shapes? What are the actual shapes? What are the things that charcoal can do? And how's it doing it? So we got dark shapes starting down here. And look, it's not real clear exactly the dark shape versus exactly where the gray shape meets. You guys see that shape? How is that the same as the male figure we just saw? What's similar between those two? Well, simple versus complex. Can you guys see that in the dark shape? Okay, so let's look at one other thing then. How do the outside edges of that dark shape, how do the outside edges compare to these inside edges? Yeah, okay, so this is very interesting. So this gets right to the heart of what I'm doing here, what I'm trying to do here. So Shakti says, it's really hard for me to see the shapes when it comes to portraits. Is that because the psychological weight of the face? It's helpful for you to break it down like this. Yeah, it's a matter of what you see first, what you recognize first. And I'll give away the game here. But again, I don't know that you're really going to get this until you experience it. You always see what you're looking for. And so what we do every time we meet is I'm encouraging you guys to look for different things. And then slowly over time, when you're in artistic mode or you're looking for artistic things, when you're seeing the model, you're not really looking at the face or the model or the person at all. Even if it's a professional commission portrait. Yeah, you need to get that stuff right, but what is going to make it a good painting or not are still the dark shapes versus the light shapes. And then how do those external dark shapes compare to these internal dark shapes? You see, those internal dark shapes are a lot finer. Right? Just look at the center of the eye versus the hair. Are you going to confuse those textures? Or is he made that or she made that pretty obvious? I apologize not knowing this artist. I ran late cooking dinner, so I didn't have time to look it up. But anyway, nonetheless, do you guys see the difference there? And then what if you're going to do portraits? The other thing to know is portraits, it's pretty important to have like a dark accent and then have the shadow of the flesh be slightly darker. So where is that happening here? Well, under the nose, little dark accent there. You see the dark accent, the dark accent in the hair versus the shadow of the flesh. You guys, very little shadow in here, just a little bit. But even right here. You guys see that? So that shadow is coming out of that dark accent. And then at one place right across here, we have a dance, a light dark dance. Dee 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 dee. Okay, does everybody see that? Does everybody see that? Miss Claudia made it. Hey, Claudia. Good evening. Happy to report there's been no snorts up to this point, so you haven't missed too much. All right, let's see what's next. All right, let's forget dark shapes for a minute and talk about light shapes. Why does this piece work? Again, what was primary? No snorts. Stop it. You're trying to get me going and I won't do it. Claudia. I won't. Not intentionally, though. We'll see. Who knows? All right. Do we need to investigate this shape? Why is this an interesting shape? Are each sides of the shape the same? Man, that seems pretty definite, doesn't it? Look at that. Wow. So it starts like that, but it ends like this. Okay. So what is this light shape doing? What is this light shape doing? Is it representing objects? Or is it representing a bigger idea? Of course, it's suggesting objects, isn't it? Well, for sure. What do we have here? Well, I don't know for sure, but my take is this looks like a bunch of monks eating some hot soup and some cold weather. I don't think this is the same artist. I think this is a contemporary artist, but there's a Russian artist who has a pretty famous laundry scene, women doing laundry, of a similar thing. It's kind of a singular light. This same idea, not quite with smoky edges, can be found in Soroya's Mending of the Sail. So, like, this idea of a light shape running through can be found over and over and over and over again. But it's the particulars. It's the particulars. Okay? And then notice how what the light is next to, in other words, look how that differs from that. Right? We've talked a lot about, with Susan, about fur. Look how he's portrayed hair. It doesn't have to be particular values. And then how do we know that is different than the material of a bowl? Or even flesh? How do we know this is steam? How? Why? How and why? I gotta know. Well, a lot has to do with the edge, right? How definite. What would happen? What would happen if we took out that definiteness up there? Right? Well, it's still work. Why does it still work? Well, it still works because now the monk is definite. Okay. Well, I'm trying to annihilate definite. How do I annihilate definiteness? Softer edges. What's it gonna take? How, guys, come on, help me out. How am I gonna destroy this? How can we destroy this piece? Why can't we destroy this? Is it because there's so much detail everywhere? In a way, yes, and in a way, no. How many of you be willing to leave your figure looking like that? There really isn't that much there. But it's so descriptive. so descriptive, right? So descriptive. Can we call this so descriptive? I'm going to have to say no. But we have at least three, I might even say that. I mean, on its own, it doesn't read, but all together. Very, very, very descriptive shapes. So descriptive. They are so descriptive that we can destroy two of the three and it still reads. How many of your drawings can you just destroy 2/3 of what you focus on and it still read? Lights are attached, yeah. Path of light. Oh, I love this one. Straight edges versus soft. Yeah, straight edges versus soft, but very descriptive, but no details. Very descriptive, but no details. So fun, huh? So fun. Anyway, I could yell and scream about this all night, but I got to eat dinner at some point, so do you. Plus, we have not even started. We have not even started on the star of our show, Nicolai Fechin. I think I promised Nicolai this morning. So can you focus and can you find the dark shape? Can you find the dark shape? Before we do, let me point a little something out, if I may. As most of you know, we just opened our online school. And we can see this as a sphere. Then we can turn it easily into an egg. And it's sitting on what? A cone. Anyway, these are basic fundamental forms that everything else is built off of. And the first course we just released is called the Fundamental Forms in Charcoal. So, just to kind of plug that away. But enough of the fundamental forms. What about this dark shape? Where, oh where does the dark shape go? Where, oh where will the dark shape go? Did you guys see that this was a singular shape before I did this? How am I going to portray that edge? Oops, did I miss a little piece of dark down here? Oh, wait, what am I thinking? Look, who's teaching this course? Who's teaching this course? Can't even see a dark shape right in front of his face. Oof, that was embarrassing. Oof. Right there. Then we have the nose. Now, let me ask you this. Do any of these dark shapes represent a single object? Well, the answer is no. Because this is hair that bleeds into the eye, and then you got eyebrow and eyelid and in the eye and under the eye and eyebrow. And we got hair going down here that goes on to her neck and her skin and then her shirt. And then the hair goes into under the chin. Hair goes really into the eye on this side, here, here, here. And then all of that reads together. Where are the hardest edges in here? Are there any edges as hard as the eye? Let's look. See any hard edges out here? I mean, you may say that kind of looks like a hard edge, but does it? He's got nice line right there, but as those edges meet, it's not as hard. Why is it not as hard? Well, look how there's some of this tone on the other side of that line. And that helps soften that a bit, where this line is cleaner and longer in both cases. Plus, there's a nice light little highlight in each of those very darks, and that doesn't hurt at all. All right, looks like so that's Mr. Nicolai Fechin once. Here's Mr. Nicolai Fechin a second time. And now that we've exercised, we warmed up, can you purely see the dark shapes in here now, Shakti? Is it easier? And you know, some cases it's easier than the other ones. Like this is a little easier because it doesn't bleed into the background as much. Right? It's basically reserved for her hair and her eyes and her eyebrows. He didn't even really include any in the nose or the mouth other than a little dark line. But as far as mass, it's simply the hair and the eyes. And how is this shape? All right, it's going to shoot you over to here. You know, there's a lot of in and out there, but you see that? That's pretty weak, Jason. Oh, that's too big. Let's see. Right, it's important not to kind of poop out like I just did, but really chase those dark shapes, because the more you chase them and kind of copy them, the more you're going to see. Oh my goodness. All right, must be getting that time of night that I forget to layer up. So let's layer up and do this one more time, because I'm interested whenever I do this, I'm always surprised. Always surprised. Soft edge right in there. Alright, so we have big dark mass in here, dark mass, then let the headband interrupt all that. right? Just all on its own, an interesting shape. An interesting shape. Yeah, getting a bit clearer, Shakti says. I have to work for it, but it's coming. Yeah, and that's the reason I do so many of these, and I just keep doing it. We've thought this way for so long and looked this way for so long that it takes some practice seeing it from a different point of view. All right, what did I just press that I wasn't supposed to? How are we doing? Okay, 7:30. So we're going to end on this one. And I know you guys have seen this before, but again, it doesn't hurt to keep coming back and back and back to these. What's a big reason this is so interesting? Got that nice curve. Look at that nice curve through there. Right? Look how happy this guy is. And then I want you to notice the diagonal that's created right here. And that little bit of diagonal that's created here. Does that remind you? Are you guys starting to see anything? What if we imagined an imaginary point over here? Have we done some still life setups that can radiate out kind of like that? Oh my goodness. Who's in charge of the layers? Who's in charge of the layers? You know, and it's the little things that really matter. And when I say little things, that mustache isn't straight across. That nose isn't straight up and down. That slight angling makes such a difference. It really, really does make such a difference. Those little bit of movements, as does, this would be totally different if he closed that head in. Right? Why is it totally different? Because that movement goes from there to that. You guys see that? That's different. That's different. What if he closed this one off? Is that fair? Is that fair doing it in red? It's probably not. I mean, is it even wise to try to ruin a Nicolai Fechin? No. But only if we're going to learn. Why? We're going to learn. So what happens if this dark gets a bit heavier? And rather than being so wild and crazy, if we just let this guy comb his hair. Let this guy just comb his hair. Right? I mean, he's dark haired, obviously. I mean, look how much dark hair is back here. Obviously, that's going to be dark. It's black hair. You know, maybe if you want to change the country he's from, make it like a winter hat or something. We might be able to do that, like a fur hat. But you guys see that the aesthetic balance and everything is gone. It's gone, 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 gone. And why? Because right now, what are we seeing here? Why is there no way around it? Yeah, there's dark in the eyes, but what's the lightest value in the eyes? Here, he's took the focus to the teeth so that you see this smiling man. Right? I mean, you can feel his happiness. And that's interesting because most of the time we want to look at people's eyes. But here he was saying something very specific, right? he's kind of talking about the nature of this man. And it really shows up in his smile. Okay, guys, I hope that helps. Hope it opened your eyes, stretched your legs, stretched your eyes a little bit, and that you'll be ready for tomorrow morning's morning jump start. We're going to end the week with Facebook Sketch Club Live. And I found out a little later this afternoon that I was supposed to be on here this morning, and I guess I broadcast to Facebook. So that's a good reason looking us up on Facebook and finding it there on the Meyer Studio page. And that will do it for me tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Susan. Thanks, Shakti. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys showing up and studying and working and improving your work. It's so fun to see. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Oh, look. There we go. What would we do without Cindy? There she is, right there. Oh. You're welcome, Claudia. Oh, and she's a cheerleader. She's so awesome. All right. You guys are all awesome. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye, Katie. Bye.